All right, episode 96. Off we go. So we were discussing the longevity of the series.
Yes, sort of a retrospective.
Yeah, so our first episode was way back in September
Yes.
of 2021.
Yes.
Oh dear. So I don't know. I was thinking it was going to be November because I was trying to do the math in my head. So 52 weeks in a year, we do 2 a week, so we get about 100 after a year. So
Well, that makes about sense.
yeah,
minus
so we're a little bit ahead of schedule. So
and minus the few absences that we've had.
it's happened a couple times.
Yeah, not so much where they'd have to adjust the end of the year schedule to add more days. I think this was actually baked in.
Right, yeah, so it's like a school year.
Uh-huh.
It's like, we thought vacation started on Monday. It's like, no, bitches, it starts on Friday now. You know?
Oh, no, I just hate to break it to you. It's like, I'm sorry, Pat. Like, you're going to have to do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the next 2 weeks to make up for it.
No. Oh, shit. Yeah. All right. So yeah, we missed the party with the cake and the strippers.
Well, I had it. I didn't invite any of you guys, and it wasn't for this. It was just
It was just Saturday.
because there was a sale on cake and strippers. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Did you clip some coupons for that on the paper?
Well, see, here's the thing: is if you still use the thing called Groupon, they've really expanded. So if you get going on it like with 20 guys, yeah, you get a pretty substantial discount.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you really want 19 other guys there, though?
Well, they don't have to go at that time. It's just if you buy the thing.
Oh,
Right. Now, that being said, when you show that printed out piece of computer paper to a stripper, I mean, there's like you still get service, but you know it's not like A+.
that's pretty normal anyway, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so... But
I don't know how inflation has rocked the stripping world. I don't know if it's something that
I don't know. I guess we could drive by TNT's and see if it's still there. So, well, I know it's still there, but I mean, if it's busy. So,
yeah, and the times I'd be around,
well, yeah, 2 p.m. on a Tuesday is not exactly prime time, man.
I mean, I guess it just depends on like maybe if there's a deal, like you go in there and
Get a banner up.
yeah, just what you'll know they're hurting when like you've seen the guy who takes the sign and he's doing this and he's doing all the flips and shit. Like when you see one of their C-list girls out there on the sidewalk spinning the sign around, like
I specifically think that's illegal. Yeah. You know, it might be one of those things where we're willing to look the other way.
Right.
So, it's like, oh yeah, the girls have it rough right now.
yeah.
We're gonna let this one slide, Tony. So, what was that?
I don't know.
Oh, it was something. Yeah, we're still alive. We're still going.
Okay.
So, yeah. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I don't think that I think they're fairly recession proof, man. So, yeah.
I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know if there's a I mean, they got to eat too.
I'm sure they eat just fine.
Oh, sure.
So,
yeah,
yeah.
but I mean I don't know. I haven't given it a lot of thought. It's not
Well, there's not exactly a huge population of them here in town either. I can only think of 2 places that still do that.
You know what's funny is I'm so removed from this that I couldn't tell you. There could be an entire Atlantic City style revival going on in the stripping world, and I just wouldn't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it all moved to OnlyFans. So, I'm sure it's still it's still around, but
I heard some really sad shit about the economics of OnlyFans.
yeah, I've heard some pretty bad things about it too. So, well, I don't know. I guess this was also related to Twitch as well. So, but what did you hear about OnlyFans?
So my understanding of this is kind of like what we've talked about with when your son or your daughter says, hey, I'm going to be a famous YouTuber, right? There is a fraction of 1% that does extremely well.
Yeah, that's true.
Then there's a not so great percentage of like 5% that do great for themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's a chunk that just makes it.
Yeah.
But then the excuse me, God bless you.
Thank you.
Then the overwhelming percentage, and I'm talking like to the tune of like 75, 80, 85%.
On OnlyFans?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, it doesn't work.
No, I can totally see that. So, I mean, I guess what I was reading about Twitch is remarkably similar. But the other thing that I saw about OnlyFans in particular was that there's a bunch of, like, really large accounts that, over time it was revealed, it was like, oh, actually, this is owned by this guy in the Philippines.
What's this all about?
Oh, man. No, it's something, like, there's been a couple different things where there's, like, a couple girls who dropped out.
Okay.
After a while,
Yeah.
and after a little bit, it was like, well, yeah, I was, doing this every single day, but that dude was getting all the money. So that basically, like, Twitch
they're
pimps.
pimps.
Yeah. Or I mean, not Twitch, OnlyFans. So that was on OnlyFans.
Well, they would be OnlyFans pimps.
OnlyFans pimps. Yeah.
Frankly, it would actually, you know what? Where I heard the worst of that comes out of Russia. So,
Oh, I believe that.
yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
Where, you
You know
know,
how many Twitch girls I've seen come up and go away from Russia real fast? So, yeah,
wouldn't
that would
surprise me.
surprise me.
I mean,
So,
it's just, you have an entrepreneurial spirit over there. It's like, I have job already. I make it digital. It's skills transfer over. So I get it. Oh, you know what? I did learn something interesting about Russian.
Russia?
The Russian language.
Okay.
So, in my Street Fighter days, there's a wrestler in there named Zangief.
Zangief.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy with the bear rug on his chest.
Yeah, absolutely. And in some of the games, after he would win, I thought he was saying a word called arsehole. Now, I had a student who said that during one of the sessions. I was like, the word you just said, I know that.
Yeah.
I was like, arsehole? She was like, no, the word is horror show, and that means good.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was like, oh, okay. Well, then I'll use that word instead.
Horse show, huh?
Horror show.
Horror show.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
I have been mispronouncing that for quite some time.
I'm sure there's lots of words, from video games that I've been mispronouncing for years. So, but
Well,
I do remember that character. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he would say that in one of his, victory poses, and
Okay.
so just kind of stuck with me, and I was fortunately corrected. Like, I didn't throw it out there first.
Right. Did you call me an asshole?
Well, that was always there's a couple of words that I remember. There was a word that I thought was German for asshole for a long time, but it's not.
Oh.
I can't remember what it was, but it was something that, like, you'd see it on the back of, those 5 1/4 discs where it had all the different languages,
Sure.
the directions, kind of like when you open up directions for like 10 countries. There's a word on there that I thought meant asshole for some reason, and I don't know why it would be on the back of a floppy disk,
Yeah.
but for the longest time, I thought it meant asshole.
Oh. No, I don't know. Was it Octoon?
It may have been, yeah.
That means attention. Yeah.
I know the actual word, which is Arschlag.
Arschlag. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. I kind of lost touch with a bunch of my German students. I did actually touch base with one of them not too long ago. She's actually doing pretty well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it said that Europe is like everybody's worried about the recession and blah blah blah.
Sure.
So, or the winter. There's a winter recession that everybody's planning on. So
Why is that so concerning that it's happening in the winter?
huh?
Why is it so concerning that it's happening in the winter?
I think it has to do with like the gas shortage and stuff like that. So, but she's like, like a lot of it's fine, because It's like, it's Europe. Everybody's got a fucking fireplace anyway, man. So it's like, there's not that many people who are using butane to heat their homes. You know? I should ask her how expensive gas is, though. So,
Like petrol? Or
yeah,
what?
like actual, gasoline. So, I don't even know if she has a car. She might not have a car. So,
You can do that in Europe.
you can do that.
And certain very localized areas of the United States.
Very localized,
Yeah.
yeah. Specifically on maybe one major corridor, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the last actual bus you've been on? Bus.
Bus?
Not train, not RTD, no nothing. Bus.
Like a city bus?
Like any bus.
So when we went to Florida, Orlando, to get onto the...
You took a shuttle.
Took a bus.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
it's one of those big fucking articulated ones. So it's two buses glued together. So they just have to pay one guy to drive it.
The special Chinese ones?
It was kind of like it's a
Oh
bus
my
train.
God.
Yeah. But it was just two pieces, not like an actual train.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So
Okay, that counts.
Yeah,
Mine
so-
would have been a shuttle bus too, yeah.
yeah. So that was the last time. I can't even think of the last time I've been on a fucking city bus. I've probably been on a school bus since more recently than I've been on a city bus. It's been a long time, man. I remember I rode the city bus along with your brother for a little while down to Sabin. So
You did? I thought his ass was walking.
we gave up on the bus after a bit and then walked. So
Okay. All right.
yeah, that was, and it was a city bus that we took. Yeah. Yeah. And then I can't remember. I think my dad and I took the bus in Manhattan a couple times. But
Okay.
literally, there are only a handful of times I've
Yeah.
actually been on an actual bus. So
I just don't think we're bus people.
no, we're not bus people, man. So
I mean, that doesn't make us fancy boys, does it?
no. So just means we live in a place where the bus sucks. So it doesn't matter. I mean, it's really like, I mean, think about it. How many places does a bus actually go in this town? Like, if I want to get on a bus, I think the closest to my house would be like at least. Oh shit! It might be. Yeah, it might be about a mile. I had to think about that for a second there. So, where does the bus actually go? So. And then driving up and down Academy back and forth to work, man. So, you see the bus there.
Yeah.
So, but everybody forgets about it. They drive in the right-hand lane anyway, and then they're getting all fucking pissed off when the bus starts stopping. It's like, oh yeah, we do have
What's
some
this
shit.
shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is this guy's problem?
Big ass RV that's slowing down in front of me. Fuck you! Yeah. No, I got you. And the weird thing for me is this is also part of the way that the city has changed around my area. Where at a time, I would say that to go to the shops and necessities and all those things before they could bring them to me, of course, is at the time when you had to go down to Kmart or something like that, all the way down there on like Constitution or something like that. Sure, I get it, but the city, on the other hand, filled in all the gaps for me just right across the street, just down over there.
Yeah.
So the bus has become functionally useless.
Yeah, you don't need it. So, no, this town, like any, like I've seen other people put forth plans for mass transit and stuff like this. Nobody's going to fucking use it.
Look, you'd have to bulldoze the whole city.
Yeah, you'd have to Dresden this place out.
Yes.
Yes. So, and then, build the new trains. Where the
fucking
churches
try,
used to be, yeah.
Come get it, boys.
Come get it, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it just doesn't make any sense, man. So, because I've seen that, we should get trolleys and streetcars back downtown. It's like, fuck downtown, man. Nobody lives down there anymore. So,
You know why?
because it's so ridiculously expensive. So, and the houses are tiny and ancient and haunted. So,
Yes, you're absolutely right. And I wonder if, in comparison, do you consider Manitou to be more or less haunted? A
I would say a little bit more.
little bit more?
Yeah, just based upon Rob's observations. So
Well, do
Yeah.
you think they have more, like Indian ghosts?
I'm sure they have all kinds. So I'm kind of assuming that ghosts are like the homeless, that, if you let one in, then others start to show up after a while, regardless of their place of origin.
Yeah, you're right. So it's broken window theory. So
Right.
if you don't get Venkman and his crew down here with the first one, then you're going to have a whole camp of them soon enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Because people are just...
They're going to start harassing people.
Well, just get used to it. It's
Yeah.
like, I got used to it. It's like you're not supposed to get used to it.
No, it's not good.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I would say that that's a little bit more haunted. I've been down to Manitou since before COVID, man. So, I remember we used to go down to that fucking arcade all the time.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, that arcade helped me quit smoking.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because when I get the urge, I would just say that I need to take my mind off of it, and that gum just wasn't working. So I'd take the drive down there, and
You would drive down there?
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So I had to do something. It was either that, or I'd just run to the park and start doing pull-ups on the jungle gym or something. I was like, I have to change the chemical composition in my blood right now
Right.
somehow.
Yeah. No, I remember taking my daughter down there. I think it might have been like maybe the year before COVID.
I have
So,
pictures. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have pictures because my brother and his children.
Children?
I have some pictures of your child and his child
Yeah.
playing together.
Yeah. I don't know if that was the same time, but yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Your wife
either.
was there, of all things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think no. The last time I went down there it was just my daughter and I. So we just decided to go down there. So and play skee ball. Oh no, my brother came.
Oh,
That's
okay.
right. Yeah, we
Okay.
played skee ball. So, but, yeah, like I don't know though, man. I mean, Manitou is just. It's so inconvenient now. So I don't even know if the street is done down there. You remember they tore up the entire main street?
I don't, but I
It
trust
was,
you.
it
Yeah.
was- dude, it had this fucking like canyon pit that was dug and these like little spindly roads that were going around, and it's all based on drainage because that's what happens when you build a fucking town in a canyon. Yeah.
Oh, right.
So yeah,
Right.
it was weird, man.
Yeah, that's right. That place did flood a few times, didn't it?
It's flooded real bad a few times.
Yes.
So yeah,
Forgotten about that.
but oh well.
Well, it wasn't tragic in my life, so I didn't really give it that much consideration.
No.
It was, but no, that does make sense. And the tricky part about that place is there's exactly one way in. Well, you can come the back way, but that's really out of your way to come in.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, it's not worth it. You're still not going to find a parking spot. So
You're not.
on a decent day.
And the other part there too is when you sort of like when I would go to the Indian reservation in North Dakota.
Mhm.
Even if you go in there on a completely liberal mission of soaking in culture, you leave with nothing. I mean, if anything, you don't go in there and say like, "I understand your people now," or you don't. My missions of cultural enrichment have generally come out with me being exactly the same, but oftentimes not being impressed with the place that I went to visit.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, but if you go to Manitou and you're not going to entrench yourself there for a period of 6 months to a year and let the people infect you, then you're just going to come out there with like some tchotchke fucking like turquoise jewelry or bad street art or
Yeah,
something
street
like
art.
that.
Yeah. So Michael Garman statue.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that's Old Colorado City.
Yeah, that's old
Yeah,
Colorado
okay.
City, yeah. But yeah, you come out there and say, what did you get? Like, this cool Tupac Shakur t-shirt.
Straight out of Manitou. You know?
Why are you guys into this?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, no, there's definitely an eclectic batch of weirdos that live in Manitou. So, but then, like, I don't know. So, Pam's old friend, the judge, he lived down there, and so he had some pretty cool, like, I mean, he was up on the hills and shit. So you drive through Manitou to get to his place, but, you know, then back there, it just looks like fucking suburbs.
Did you have to get there, did you have to hang a left off that main road?
Yeah, you know where that one goes straight up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. And there's a whole neighborhood up there that's just, like, normal, you know?
Right. Right.
Yeah, but then there's, like, I don't know.
I know people that live there.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
Yeah. No, it's not too weird, but I get you on that one too, where you kind of get a little bit disappointed by the the allure of whatever the local flavor was supposed to be. So
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and the question is, what did you really expect to see, and how did you expect that to impact you?
well, I guess the only question would be is like, I don't know. For me personally, it was just like, okay, so I expect it to be different in one way or another.
Right.
You know, and so I don't get disappointed by saying this. All right, so I go down to Florida, we drive through a suburb that's just like ours. Okay, fine. You know, go down, spend a week with my in-laws in Phoenix. It's exactly like here, just a little warmer, whatever. All right, so you know that's fine. I don't have any problem with that. It's when I have the expectation that something's going to be way fucking different, and then it's not. It's kind of like a little disappointing.
Well, see, that's I think that we have common ground on this, because I think that's why I was so upset with Texas, was when I went there and I saw that this was just a shittier version of Denver plus 20 times more unacceptably humid.
Yeah, and more lanes of traffic.
Correct. And it was all predicated with the expectation of, why will you people not shut the fuck up about how awesome this place is?
Yeah. And you're in Houston, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I did travel around to kind of some of the other areas because, but I was just.
See, I didn't mind Houston because I knew kind of what to expect with it, but see, like Dallas was really disappointing to me. So because that was basically Denver but bigger and nothing like unique about it at all, and it had fucking fire ants everywhere. So so at least Houston, like, you know, Houston had this kind of charm to it because you knew you were in an enormous metropolitan area.
Yeah.
But then there's like fucking woods and deer behind your Motel 6.
Yeah. But, I mean, still, when you sit there and say, like, well, what is this place? You say, what is this place all about? And then you look at it and say, oh, well, by just looking at you know, this place from an overhead map, it's concrete. It's all just goddamn
Yeah, it's
roads.
just concrete.
It's like, what is Houston? It's like, it's a series of highways.
Yeah. Big ones too, with little highways that run alongside them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like, there are some other places that I think have been a little bit more disappointed for me than Texas, though. I mean, Texas was kind of like, yeah, okay. You know, one for me was Chicago in particular. I spent quite a bit of time in Chicago. And so when I was a kid, my aunt lived in Naperville, which is west of Chicago. So
What is it? Sorry to interrupt you, but is there an event that's associated with Naperville? Because the name kind of sounds familiar.
Naperville, Naper.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Is there something famous that happened out of that area or something like that I'm trying to remember historically?
I don't.
Because it sounds a little bit familiar.
No. Not that I can think of right off the bat.
Okay, right.
But she hasn't lived there in probably 20 years. And so, like, yeah, but when we were kids, we used to go there all the time. And it was like this really idyllic Midwestern kind of like big city suburb, you know, with the row trees and, you know, the wide streets and all the shit. It was really cool. and stuff. And then when I worked for the railroad and went to Chicago, like actual Chicago, for 3 weeks, where the whole rail yard was surrounded by fucking concertina wire. It was pretty disappointing. So, and the same thing, like when I was a kid, we used to go to St. Louis all the time. And then when I actually went there by myself, I was like, oh, this place is kind of grody, man. So,
Right.
everybody's like, oh, the music, the food, and the stuff like that. It's like, yeah, they're good, but if you're here for 2 weeks, you've had enough after about 3 days. So, it's not, this isn't the kind of place where I just want to scrape out a little piece and, and soak it up for a couple of weeks. It's like, no, give me my toasted ravioli, I'll go to one jazz club, and then I'm gone.
Yeah, no, I got you. As a matter of fact, I feel that I think Nashville would probably be the same way.
Nashville would definitely be the same way for me. Yeah, get your barbecue, go watch your show, and then leave. Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody that has no particular love for country music at all.
But you love barbecue.
Yeah, but not...
I'm thinking of Memphis. Never mind.
Well, okay. I imagine that there's probably some pretty good stuff in Nashville, too.
I'm sure there are.
But still the same thing. Memphis, I believe, has a lot of the same appeal.
Yeah. Never been to Memphis. I've been to Nashville.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been to Nashville. I've been to Knoxville. That's on the other side of the state. I've never been to Memphis, though. So
Was Nashville culturally enriching?
I was like 9, so I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember I was allergic to everything there because it was spring. So, and the air was just thick with pollen. You could see it. Right,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
We get that. We get that in a different form. Is that whatever it is that tree that produces cat hair? Just, if you're in Colorado, you know it. I can't tell you what it is, but there are just days where the air is thick with what looks like fucking like shedded cat hair, and it's
Little chicken feathers, yeah.
and it's about as allergy inducing.
Yeah, those are cottonwoods, man.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. Fuck those things. Those are awful.
yeah. Shed cat hair.
It looks like it, man. You go outside and it's like people have been like brushing tigers for, in the park and just like throwing it in the air. It's terrible.
That's cool.
No, it's awful.
No, I mean the name.
Yeah, appreciate it.
No, the name. I never really thought about that. Yeah. They actually got trees around here that shed cat fluff. Yeah.
I swear, dude, it's and it kind of hits me the same way.
Yeah, it gets me. So down there they had all these flowering things that were, going off and on. So these little like that fucking helicopter doodles, and stuff.
Sure.
And all kinds of different things like that.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely
Yeah.
murdering me. So Knoxville was nice though. So that's on the eastern side of the state, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, the question is, when have they culturally enriched you?
I don't know. I don't think they ever have. So I certainly haven't spent enough time there. I can't think of any place that really culturally enriched me.
That's what I'm talking about. Well, I mean,
Well, do you need? I guess I've never stayed in a place long enough where I would expect that to actually be the case. Like if I lived in New York for a month, then okay, maybe.
well, to be fair, I actually felt a little bit culturally enriched there because you know what? When you talk about actually seeing a different culture and way of life a little bit, okay, I see it.
Okay. Well, when you were in North Dakota, or
No, well, okay, that too, but just even the few trips I've taken to New York, kind of the same thing, where the landscape is so different, the public transport is so different, the general lifestyle was so different to what I've been accustomed to, that I didn't come out, I didn't leave the place saying like, wow, I'm more Democrat than ever. No, there was nothing like that. It was just...
must be the water.
No, it was just, coming into there and out of there and saying, okay, well, this is a very different expectation of life, right? Very different. And you would have different standards based on that, where you would,
Sure.
for here, and this is not a knock against where I live. Obviously, I appreciate it. There is as much contact with your neighbors as you let your fences permit.
Yeah. I would say that's actually pretty unique to here, man.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
This place is very. So, and I'm going to tell you just right now, it is different here than it is in Denver or Pueblo. So,
Okay.
there is something distinctly like, leave me the fuck alone unless unless you demonstrate yourself to be friendly,
Right.
here in this town. Yeah. So whereas like in Denver, it was like we knew our neighbors, they all knew who we were, so they knew which car was yours, all kinds of different stuff. It was not the same. Pueblo, everybody's up in your business because it's a small town. So,
Right.
And so, and when I lived in that fucking, the town that I lived in Nebraska had 850 people in it. So,
Okay.
yeah, now that was a cultural, holy shit, this place is way fucking different kind of thing. But you know what? I'm going to be really honest with you on that one. It probably took me about 3 to 6 months to really kind of soak that in. So once I knew who other people were, and then I kind of saw these guys are not just townies now. Okay?
Right.
That's Herschel. He's my landlord and runs the grocery store.
There you go.
So yeah, exactly.
Right.
So that's the crazy guy who's always yelling at the gas pumps.
Why?
I don't know.
What's his problem?
I don't know, but we had one. So, that's the kid. That kid over there, that's the guy who works the subway late shift. So, because it's the only place that's open after 10 p.m. So, yeah.
Right.
And so that was really different. And even when, because there was a bigger town that was about 10,000 people, maybe about 30 miles away. So, where you go to the Walmart and stuff, because that's where the Walmart was.
Yeah.
And, but then I would see people from my town in there. So,
Right.
because it's like, oh, you got to go to Walmart too. It's like, yeah. So, yeah. And so that was definitely culturally different. But it took a while for me to get that. I don't think I could have gotten that if I'd only been there for a couple days. So,
Yeah, it was, and a lot of that mentality I learned from, those small places on the rig and the rig itself, where, look, for the longest time of my life, the whole concept of we have to go into town was a foreign concept.
right.
Right. Where, for me, and where I live, I know where you live, but the answer is go into it's there. It's right there.
I live in town.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I am white man from town.
Yeah, exactly. What are you, poor? No, it was no, and of course that was the other piece of that was seeing we can joke about the wealth divide in big cities and say, boy, check out those really expensive but tiny old houses downtown, and say, wow, that's a big difference between the rich and the poor. But then you get out to those rural areas and you see, well, so what do the wealthy people have out there? It's all that.
All the land.
This.
Yeah.
Everything out there.
You see that gate?
Yeah.
You see that house way over there on the horizon? That thing's way fucking bigger than it looks from here. Because it's 12 miles away.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's so far away that you see the curvature of the earth.
Yeah.
That
What was interesting was me driving around all those back roads in Wyoming and stuff. All right. So the thing about it that's really is there's stupidly wealthy people. I mean, the insanely wealthy people. They don't have houses that you can see from the fucking highway. So
Insane. Yeah.
And so I remember there was one night and it was
the shit that almost looks like a wooden castle.
Yeah, exactly. I remember there was one night I was driving around, all right, trying to get back to the yard, and it was dark, but there was this blaze of fucking lights. And I was like, what the fuck is out here, man? It's so kind of.
Oh my god! I'm gonna get abducted by aliens.
Exactly. So, and there was this guy who's basically has his own private fucking rodeo thing. Okay, and he had all his lights, had all his friends on over and shit, and he's got this mansion over there that's got a fucking pool, and the big ass toy shed with the hangar and a landing strip. And I never even knew that motherfucker was. I wouldn't have known it was there if I hadn't driven by it at night. So, and so it was just crazy. And so how like, well hidden some of that wealth was, and especially like the one guy, we had a guy that was pretty close to our territory. He was one of the state senators from Wyoming.
Oh, okay.
He has huge fucking humongous ranch out there, and it was just like, well, this is just worthless land, kind of thing. And then, like, at one right, yeah, it's
no derisive.
I know, you don't know what you're looking at until you've been there for a little while. Then you look at it a little bit, and then you see, like, oh, actually, you know what? This is really good land right here because the clouds bump up against that, and he gets all this water. Look at all the ponds that he's got set up and all this shit. You start seeing all these things after you notice them for a while, and then after a little while, you realize, oh, his house is over there. Let me go see if I can see that motherfucker. And then it's like this freaking French manor. So you expect it to be a cabin with a door that's like swinging on its hinges. And you realize it's like, no, they actually like flew in fucking marble from Italy. To make his fucking bathtub.
Right. And the crazy thing is if you go in the other direction, right, in those kind of places, you go in the other direction just a little while, you'll find spots where you look at people and you're like, are you cooking outdoors?
Right.
Like, I don't mean that, like, you're not grilling for the Super Bowl. You're just,
right.
You actually see the actual clothesline.
Yeah.
I mean,
you see a lot of pieces where somebody's got a chunk of land and it's got a double wide on it,
Yes.
Yeah, you see that all over the place, and they live right next door to this guy who's on the Forbes fucking 500 list, So it's crazy, man. So I don't know though, man. I actually did a lot of reading on the wealth gap. I have very different thoughts on that than I used to. So, but.
What are your new perceptions?
Well, I mean, it's just saying when you take a look and like Steve Forbes lives next to Joe Blow, who does live on a double wide.
Oh yeah,
kind of thing. It looks a lot worse than what it actually is. So when you have stark examples like that.
Well, it does. Well, and of course the most stark examples were the reservations themselves, where
those are pretty stark. So
it is. You see some of this just magnificent, like I was talking about, those wooden castles, just in the stretching up to the sky. They're wide, and then you go over there, and then you see this place. You drive through it, looking for the one quote unquote convenience store,
right,
in Mandaree.
Quote unquote, I like that.
Well,
it's open for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon, and not on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And they don't sell gas. And you go to this place, and it looks like the leftovers of when Sarah Connor has that nightmare about the nuclear holocaust.
Yeah.
So this is like the day after the shit's like not on fire, but you're like,
right? Yeah.
Y'all live here?
Yeah.
But then you see those just opulent houses. It's weird because, like what you talked about, when every now and then you see that list of people, wealthiest person by state, right?
Yeah.
And the ones that always got to me were that I would see ones that were like ranchers. And there's just some part of my mind that says like ranching can't be that much money, because like my brain goes to, I look at everybody else and. Like, what do you mean ranchers? Like for the Xbox, or what? Like, what did you invent?
Yeah.
But no, it's they're
just landowners. They have huge, massive chunks of land.
Yeah, and that's completely foreign to me. But again, it makes sense because it's the same thing. Like one of the videos that I'll always turn to when I want to see just exceptional skill. When it comes to how people handle things, right? There's a few things that I'll turn to is this guy can complete one of those huge Rubik's Cubes in 12 seconds. Things like that. But every now and then what I'll see a dude basically fillet out and break apart into pieces like one of those giant tunas.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen those.
And it boggles my mind when I think, how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars is coming out of that one big fish?
Oh, thousands.
That's what I'm saying. And that's the same thing where I start thinking like, but this one cow, like how much can that be? Like $50? But it's not.
No, it's not. Yeah. So yeah, no, they're quite expensive.
That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Yeah, and that's where it just like so you have like 200 of these. So what? That's like $1,000. But I'm so stupid. It was like no,
Just doing
man, like,
Minecraft math, man.
I know.
So you expect
know.
me to just wander around out there on their own, and you just go like tame them or something.
And that's the part. Is just break it down into each individual steak or each hamburger. I'm like, all right, so like one hamburger is like $1.39 or whatever. Or I think a steak, like a good piece of meat, like $12-14. How many are in that thing? Like 5? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out a lot. And they use the whole darn thing.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, well, and there's a lot of other products that you get out of cows that people don't know about too. So
Margum.
Oh well, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so no, there's. I don't know. I haven't looked at that list in a while. So, but I know like. Here in Colorado, I think it's still the same guy. It's been Anschutz for years. So, and if I'm not mistaken, he was actually a big pharmaceutical guy. I can't remember.
Oh, well, didn't 1-800-Flowers make a lot of money too?
Oh yeah, but he's not that rich. So.
Oh, you know who it was? The guy who made Dish Network was.
Oh yeah,
the number one guy.
He was around here. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
He was around here for a little bit. So yeah, but I think it's back to Philip Anschutz again. So, but then there's like 1-800-Flowers. For those of you who don't know who we're talking about, that would be the governor, Jared Polis. So
right.
Yeah. Did you fill out your ballot?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I just got it.
All right. I gotta go through mine. So. Actually, we should do that the next time that we actually. The next time we meet, the election will be over.
Oh, well,
yeah.
We'll do a post-mortem on.
Well, I guess the local stuff, because I think Congress is basically. Even the leftiest of lefty podcasts that I listen to, have basically given up, man.
There are some distraught voices.
See, and that's what it's getting to now, is they're getting to the point in time, it's like, well, how bad is it going to be? And now they're getting to the point in time, what does this say about America?
Yeah, I know.
It's like, oh man, you guys have moved on to that now, you poor guys.
No, you're right. They are in the bargaining phase at this point.
Oh, that's right. What is it? The 5 stages agreed?
Yeah, first is like denial. And that denial was hard.
That was hard. Yeah,
because
around for a while.
The way that they took that the sheer audacity of the argument was, so what we're going to do in November after we crush you guys, right? Because I think Americans are smart, and so after we crush you guys, what we're going to do is we're going to take out our calculators. We're going to add up all the people who voted for Reg, and that's how many Nazis are in this country.
So, right, yeah, it's just an up-down equation, huh?
Yeah, so there was that, and then
so it's denial, and then
it's denial. Then I think
there's a bargaining phase,
but I think bargaining is 3.
Well, I think anger,
yeah, anger, denial, bargaining.
Well, that denial was first, and then it's anger once you realize you're not going to get out of it. I don't know. I might be wrong about that.
The question is,
I haven't taken a psych class, so
I guess I'm trying to think of my last traumatic loss. So I'm gonna go back to my last Patriots loss or something and think about which stage I went to. Was I pissed first? And I think I was. First, I think it was piss, and then denial always comes in the fact that regardless of how the officiating actually went, were always against me.
Well, that sounds more like bargaining right there.
Well,
so you're trying to justify it.
Bargaining is at that point, then you turn around and say, well, you know what? There's a whole bunch of 8-8 teams in here. So, I mean,
you rationalize.
It's like, how many teams go, all they have to do is get in the wild card. That's
okay, I got it.
And then it's anybody's fair game.
Yeah, as long as we win the next one, it'll be
right.
Okay. Yeah,
right.
Got it.
And then, obviously, number 5 is acceptance, but depression.
I think it's 7 stages, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 7? I thought it was 5.
Yeah, you might be right, but Yeah, see, I thought denial was first, and then it's anger after that. Because denial is like, no, not happening, la 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 la,
Right.
kind of thing. And then anger is like, God damn it, why did that fucking happen? Blah, 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 blah. And then you go into that next one, which is the bargaining phase, which is like, well, it'll be okay if we win the next one.
Right.
Then you're right, you go into depression. So how many is that? It's 4. So yeah, it must be 5.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
depression is next because then it's you know,
We're never gonna win again. Why did I waste my life rooting for this team? I feel so stupid. I'm gonna burn all my shit.
you know, and then eventually, yeah, you do come to accept like, oh, the Montfarts aren't going to sell, so
Yep,
this is the
yeah.
team they're going to
Yeah,
be.
this is the Rockies that we gotta live with. Yeah. So,
Oh, Patrick, if I can't break it down into sports analogies, then I can't understand.
Yeah, I can't teach it neither. So, yeah. So anyway, I don't know what. Yeah, they're still kind of in the. I think they're in the anger phase. We haven't gotten to the bargaining phase just quite yet. So.
See, I don't know. I don't know if I want to take it that way. I don't. The question is whether or not the actual results have to come in first. So, say for example,
Yeah, I'm sure they do. I would say they do.
because I don't think that they started any of these steps until night of Election Day 2016, because there was
2016 is a bit of an aberration, though.
Well, that's what I'm
We've
saying.
had 2 elections since that that got kind of screwy, so people, kind of expect it now.
well, this is what I'm saying is, in comparison, there was no prep for that.
Right, yeah.
And so you saw people, they did not handle the changes quickly or gracefully. They had their own mini version of January 6th, which got swept under the rug.
Yeah.
And didn't happen. Oh, that was different. And then it played out over the next 4 years with putting dumb things like resist in your email signature or...
Oh, the resistance.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Are people still doing that?
I'm sure in their hearts they are, regardless of what they think they're actually
I think those
existing.
people are like dwindling in numbers. So
Well, when it comes down to it, how often did putting that in your Twitter bio actually change
it
shit?
does nothing. I heard the best analogy for like advertising in your Twitter bio the other day that I've ever heard before.
Please.
This guy, I can't remember exactly who it was. Is it Bob? No, it was somebody else. So I'll see if I can figure out who it is. But he said, like, well, they were talking about Elon Musk and this problem that he's got with Twitter and stuff like that going on. With are people going to leave or not? Whatever. They didn't come.
Fired half the people today.
Well, no, they're not talking about employees.
Oh.
So they're talking about users. And so whether or not people would actually be willing to pay for it, that kind of thing. So, which I guess, like, yeah, there's probably some debate there. So, but this guy, I think it might have been Marshall, was actually picking on people who basically live on Twitter at a certain point in time. And he said the best analogy that he ever heard was that he had an old school editor that was one of his editors at one point in time. And he says the people who put shit like that on Twitter are the same people who write letters to the editor. I know that their opinion doesn't matter.
All right. Okay. Now here's the thing: is how long did it take? This is the problem that I have right now. Is there is still a Twitter and the companies that look at basically like Twitter reactions, right?
Yeah.
Still, in some way, seem to treat this as though they actually do represent a significant portion of the American public.
Yeah.
When did we learn that letters to the editor were just, you guys are...
We've known that forever, man. So, like, fucking... I mean, if you think about it, think about back to the days where we actually got a physical paper.
Yes.
Okay, I would read the what did they call that? Was not the was it the op-ed page?
The editorials.
No, the letters to the editor. Was it in the editorial section?
It was in like the back section of it.
Yeah. I thought it kind of had its own special thing though, but I can't remember. Anyway,
Well, that's where it was. So if it had a special name,
so you'd see like 3 different types of letters in there. You get the one where like someone's like, so like there's a mayoral election or a city councilman or something like that, and everybody's agitated, rah, 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 you know, and so they're like really angry about like, you know, one specific thing. Then you had the pleading heart ones about like, oh my God, we have to save all the children, you know, kind of thing. You know, so whether it be like a pro-life person or someone who's doing a food drive or something,
Right.
you know,
right.
or it's like, well, it's really important that we support our schools because the future of our children is more important than all of your lives put together.
Can you put a price on a human life?
You got it, man. Using all the rhetorical knocks so on those things. And then the third one was just a ranty, crazy guys.
Yeah.
So
That's the ones I remember.
I remember those. You know, like, because every now and then you'd be like, all right, so we just had like 3 different letters going on about like, okay, this is why this ordinance is bullshit, and it's done by like someone who's obviously on a committee that's trying to organize this because it's very polished and it's very, you know, very straightforward. This one is someone who just has to get their opinion out there and tell you why it's so important that you care about the same thing that I care.
Drop what you're doing.
Right now, yes, send money now or something, you know, or whatever it is that's important in your life. It does not matter compared to fucking like, you know, wind farms or something, whatever.
Did you know that every 60 seconds a child
Exactly.
goes hungry?
Yeah, exactly. Did you know? Oh, I saw one on Dr. Phil the other day that pissed me off. Fucking got me going, and my mom came back and told me about it. And it just made me mad. But it was along the same lines of that, you know. Do you know, Jeff? Did you know that 1/3 of adults in America are functionally illiterate? You know. So that's actually what he said. And he said on Joe Rogan's show of all things.
Dr. Phil did.
Dr. Phil said that. So, and I was like, 1/3 functionally illiterate.
What do you mean by functionally illiterate?
Exactly. I was like, define that. You know, it's like I think more than 2/3 of the country can read what a fucking stop sign is. You know?
The problem is when you use the word illiterate in any form. Okay.
Yeah.
The problem here is what you are trying to tell the American public is, what did he say? 1/3?
1/3.
Signs that fucking name with an X?
Yeah, exactly. You have to scribble. You use a thumbprint, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So that's the second type of letter that you get on there. It's the one that's obviously just full of hyperbole and, you know, just trying to get you to, like...
Well, it's 100% pathos.
Exactly. It's 100% pathos. And then the last batch of editors' letters were always the best. Those ones that involve fucking UFOs.
The crank file.
It was great, man.
Yeah, because what they used to call that was the crank file.
The crank file. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, and it was just great. So, and that's Twitter. So, you know, and the thing about it is that, like, you know, so Twitter, like, people who have those opinions and stuff, a lot of them have gotten a little bit more established in certain other things. And now they have podcasts and things like that where you can get all this shit. It's a little pot and kettle right there, but still at the same point in time, you know, there are some, like, it's like, you know, like you're not even engaging with any people anymore because you just broadcast now. You don't have to like fucking, you know, get down there.
Well, it's not didactic, no.
No, it's not that. Yeah, exactly. So, and so, you know, your opinions alone exist in a bubble now. So your opinion means even less. So, I mean, there's people out there that have shit like that. They don't even do what you and I do, where we bounce shit off each other.
No,
you know?
no.
Yeah.
And I'm well aware that oftentimes I will take some of my core beliefs and amp them up just a little bit for the sake of having it debated. But yes, I totally understand. And also, I'm also willing. And I tell this to my students too. It's like, guys, I'm wrong all the time.
Yeah, sure.
And I don't think that there's, like, I'm not even going to pretend that there's any shame in it. And I don't want you guys to, I'm saying this because I don't want you guys to do this either.
No, and I don't want you to feel ashamed about being wrong. So, you know, it's okay to be wrong. That's how you get right, you know, eventually. So I tell my students the same thing all the time. I say, every single class I start up, it's like, I'm going to teach you guys about management. And the reason why I'm allowed to teach you about management, because I've done it a lot and I've fucked it up a lot. You know? So there's a lot of landmines out there that I stepped on that I prefer you don't step on. But for some of you, the only way you're going to learn is to go step on them yourselves. And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll point them out to you.
Right. And what you can do is you can join my club with people who are, you know, walking around on one good leg.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because a bouncing Betty, you know, sheared us in half, you know, or whatever,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, this is the same thing. This was brought up to me when you can kind of turn the wealth inequality thing. You can make it look more severe than it is. It's all a matter of perspective.
Make it look really bad.
And somebody, I can't remember who did it, but I saw this. They basically did the math on that, and they said, all right, so let me break this down to you here. And I think this had to do with the fucking dickheads who are like, oh, you purchased Twitter for $44 billion, but you could feed the whole world, you know? And
Yeah.
the thing that they finally broke me on this was they said, all right, so let's talk about those billionaires in society.
Yeah.
I said, okay, great. So if we rounded up everything they had,
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't even last a year.
said this would fund the government for 8 months.
Yeah. Yep. And that's if you wipe them out.
That's correct.
Everything. So
Yeah.
you take Jeff Bezos, you strip him down naked, you take all of his fucking assets,
You liquidated.
liquidate it.
Yes.
Yeah, you throw him out the back door.
Yes.
Okay.
You fucking stand on his chest and pull out his gold teeth and shit.
Exactly. Yeah, one knee on the chest. So yeah, you pull out all his gold teeth, his fucking implants or whatever he's got, his cyberware. You pull all of it, and and that's like everybody in the United States who fits in that profile up there. If you wiped them all out, it wouldn't fund the federal government for an entire year.
It was 8 months.
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, to my point, I think I said that probably like 4 or 5 months ago on a podcast. These fucking guys, you know, like everybody sees billionaires as controlling all kinds of shit.
And they do have some. Let's not pretend that they
do.
don't get their way.
I get that, but they're also still just the biggest flies on the horse's ass, man. I mean, you know, they really are. So, because when it comes down to it, like, you know, the vast majority of wealth in this country is concentrated in the lower, middle, and upper middle class. So it is fucking insane how much money is concentrated in those three bands. Okay, so
Well, that's a numbers game.
it's totally a numbers game. Yeah, and so people who make between, I think the lower middle class starts somewhere around 45 or something like that. And then so upper middle class tops out somewhere around 120. So, or no, it might be 200 and starts at 120. I can't remember. So, but those three bands right there, that's like 90% of America's wealth. You know, and everybody thinks that it's like, oh my God, yeah, it's Jeff Bezos and his gold-plated fucking, you know, yacht that he had to chop down a bridge to get. Which wasn't true. So
No, it's like, well, we can move it.
right? Yeah, they're just going to charge you more. So
What do you mean? It's like, well, the hinge pins come up.
right, yeah. Actually, they can lift it out. So and they've done so many times before. But you know, it wasn't as cool it wasn't as poetic of a story as rich asshole demolishes ancient bridge.
Oh, I know, and he's doing his Dr. Claw voice as he does. Yeah.
It's you. Yeah. So
Try and cross the water now.
Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. Now, again, to go back to like our original like McAfee points to celebrate our anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. So to go all the way back there,
oh my God, the McAfee episode.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the rich don't unfairly get their way a lot of time. And if you want to look at enforcement of justice in terms of these things, I think that's a completely valid argument. Sure. And it's the same argument that you would hold toward anybody with positions of power. And if you want to look at the crazy things and say, I don't like that they've gotten away with this because of their status, you're absolutely right. And I'll talk about with you all day. Right?
Yeah.
If it is just, as you said, there's a certain argument that you come to that it's really starting to click in my head, Patrick, is if my spidey sense goes off and I start getting this dude just doesn't want to work angle.
You can't unsee it once you start seeing it.
I feel like I've been to your 5-week seminar and it's finally starting to sink in. Like, if it stinks of that, man, there are just some fucking walks like a duck, sounds like a duck people. I'm like, would you get to your fucking thesis?
Yeah.
I don't need the 20-minute preamble.
No.
Just say what your problem is. All right, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, and and so there's like tip off keywords that lead to that. So the first one that got me going on that one is quote military industrial complex.
Yeah, you are personally set off by that. Yeah.
Well, I just see a lot of people like lazily use that argument,
Yeah.
which Eisenhower made 70 fucking years ago. So, and it's like, all right, point me to the war that was actually started by Lockheed Martin, please. Okay, so I want to know this. All right. And then just looking at the companies themselves, they're not that fucking big. And so they say, oh, well, the arms, industry in the United States is fucking enormous. Fucking Walmart's bigger than all of them put together, man. So, yeah.
And I won't argue if you say that. If you are arguing to say that we should reallocate resources, I'll never have a problem with that to say, do we need to spend all this on this? Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, let's talk. Do
Where
we
does this
really need to
go?
be sending fucking Patriot missiles to the Saudis? Probably not. So, yeah,
Is there a version of this where you can probably sniff out corruption and dirty deals?
Of course.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there
I can
are
promise you
definitely $1,200 toilet seats that have been paid for at some point in time.
100%. And
Yeah.
I will tell you right now that there are people profiting enormously on the next package of shit that just went to the Ukraine, right?
Yeah.
I can promise you
Yeah.
that. I can't tell you exactly who, but there's this version of this where, guys, if it was this virtuous, you'd be selling it harder instead of doing this in the dead of night.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
So,
So that's one word that kicks me off is the military industrial complex.
well, again, it comes out, what does that mean?
Right, yeah, exactly. Let's tack this down. So,
And what's your argument that you're making about
right,
it?
yeah, and show me the guys exactly who's making this much money. And so, like, the thing that really kind of tripped me off to some of these things is just thinking about scale. Okay? You can go find the actual numbers if you're not too lazy to do so. They're not hard to find, okay, on some of these
Well,
things.
it's not
so,
China, man. It's not.
I get it. No, like American accounting system is way above board. And so, it's a gold standard for the entire fucking world for that reason, So, because you don't fuck with Wall Street when it comes to investments. It's that simple. So,
You go to jail.
you go to jail. Yeah. So you go to jail. So, especially if you're trying to deceive investors. And so, yeah. So, the thing, like, yeah, that's just, it's like, well, let me take a look at the numbers. It's like, nobody understands how profits work and margin. And so they take a look and they say, oh, this company's worth billions and billions and billions of dollars. It's like, well, how many billions? You need to figure that out because that's actually important, okay? Because if the company's worth that much, what are you looking at? Are you just looking at their sticker price, which is their market cap? Or are you taking a look at all their assets and things like that, And then on top of it, are you looking at how much they make every single year and how much they have to spend in order to make that? And that's the thing that really gets under my skin is that most people, and there's lots of research out there to back this up, that if you just ask them, it's like, well, okay, so how much profit does a company get off like this item or something? Okay, they'll just like look at something like a fucking, a gallon of milk or a fucking microphone or a cup of coffee. And they'll say, okay, well, this cup of coffee cost me $4 or whatever it did. Okay, so obviously the company's making like $3 off of it. And that's complete and utter horseshit. Okay, so virtually every product in the United States, with some notable exception, largely around tech, phones, things like that. All right, so you're getting a razor thin margin of like 1% to 2% on it. And so, coffee and beer is a little bit different, because its inputs are very less, but, okay. So Anheuser-Busch doesn't have its own B-2 bombers. They're not trying to send people to Mars. This company's not exactly a threat.
No, they're not. They're not.
And so there's just like a lot of examples of that. And even if you go and if you take a look at like probably the pinnacle of all evil American companies that, are at the center of the military industrial complex, if you look at Boeing, of all things. So they say, well, they make everything, the satellites, the bombs, the missiles, all the things. Okay. The bombers and stuff like that. The company's 1/10 the size of Walmart.
Yeah. And I mean, like, there are industries that you can look at and say, boy, you don't even really provide a service, do you? So if you want to look at, say, like medical insurance companies, right? That I can, if you want to talk about that, I'll talk about it all day.
Yeah,
And
sure.
say, boy, we do have some room to improve because
there's definitely some kinks to that market. So
like you said once before, and you're absolutely right, is they make profit by denying you services.
Yeah.
So, okay, got it. Is this something that is okay for us to be doing when it comes to like a public good? I don't know.
yeah.
Again, it's the same thing that.
Well, that's the thing. When I looked at that too, Obamacare fixed a lot of that shit, and nobody gave it any credit for it. So if you have cancer, they cannot that was the whole thing before. It's like, what if you get cancer and your insurance gets canceled? You're gonna fucking die, and your kids are gonna watch you die, waste away in front of you and stuff. They cannot deny you service for those things anymore.
Right,
So,
right.
And so somehow the system has been disciplined a little bit to the point in time where it's like, okay, so maybe we have to spread the costs around. Maybe that means we take some from our margin. Maybe that means we get a little bit more out of the hospitals.
Right.
Maybe that means that we actually have to charge our clients, which are the companies, higher premiums, which they've done, okay, in order to make it work. But, they also kind of saw it and said, okay, we can't do some of this fucked up shit because it's going to kill off our entire industry. So
right,
yeah,
right, yes, that's exactly it. Is how they adjusted the secret sauce is beyond me. That's not my math to know. Yeah. But this is also again, this is this is the Twitter thing right now, right? Because when people have said, "Look, you have got to change this, or something's going to happen." Oh no! We control the front end. We control the back end. Right?
What do you mean change? Who's saying this? The old management?
For years, people have been saying, look, your content moderation is dog shit.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's completely asinine for you guys to keep touting how you are the gods of misinformation and what is and I get it. You guys are like, no, this is what we think is right. No, stop complaining to me. All right, we're not going to take you seriously. You say that one more time, you're banned.
Yeah.
Okay. Think about it again after another week.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the thing: is you give places opportunities to say, all right, you guys need to clean this place up before Jesus shows up because you're going to be repenting on your hands and knees at the last minute here, right? And that's what happened. And then so some dude with a whole shit ton of money saw guys, you ban the account of the Babylon Bee. That is the last straw.
What's the Babylon Bee?
It is just a mild. It's the conservative version of the Onion. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And seriously,
really?
Yeah. Here's the thing: is when you come down to it, it's like, all right, yeah, you can see it as offensive, just like you see the Onion is offensive.
Oh,
but
sure.
You guys dropped the hammer on this and said, no, this has got to go. This is hate speech. This is the thing that actually prompted Elon Musk to buy you out.
Yeah.
And now he's kicked half of you out of the company.
Yeah. I'd be curious, where those, I don't know. I don't know that much about Twitter. I still couldn't figure out how they make money. So
primarily advertising.
Really?
Yeah.
So they actually have a revenue stream? Because the way that I kind of saw it was that basically what they were doing was they were using sales of their own stock to actually beef up the revenues of the company.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's a part of it. But
okay,
yeah,
right.
that was he was talking about it today. This was part of the reason that they're going to the $8 plan is...
Are they actually going to do that?
It looks like it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I can't support that enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, so the thinking, my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, the thinking behind this is to actually get rid of as many bots as possible. Because if you got an $8 plan, you're not going to pay for bots. You're not going to pay for 10 million of them at least.
And if you do, help yourself.
I guess.
So, well, because the financial knock-on effect after that is all right, well, if you're going to do that, great.
So is part of the $8 going to be some kind of verification? You actually have to
that is where the blue check mark comes from.
Yeah.
And if you don't pay your $8, you lose it.
Yeah. But will there still be a free version of Twitter that you can use?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be free. Okay.
Okay.
If you want verification, it's $8 a month.
Yeah.
Right. And this is where...
Oh, it's $8 a month.
Yep.
Oh, so it's like Netflix.
Yeah. absolutely.
Yeah, I
And-
can see some people being okay to pay that just because it'd be like, I mean,
well,
I guess if I was using it to monetize something, that wouldn't be.
that's exactly it, right?
Oh, okay.
Right. So the people who are guaranteed to pay $8 a month, right, are the Twitter account for McCloskey, the Twitter account
Right.
for, right. So there's a baked-in audience of people who can use this
To corporate accounts.
absolutely to say we
That makes
are the
sense.
actual Waffle House, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Especially with lower like tier businesses, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to submit and wait and wait.
Yeah,
and a lot
yeah.
of times they were like, do you know what the criteria for verification was before?
No, and I don't think anybody really does. So, because I've heard people argue about it, that even people who have like fucking film credits to their name and shit like that don't
Yep.
get verified. Whereas, like, every now and then there was like a thing like several years ago where you could pay like $10 to get verified. So there's a whole bunch of yahoos are verified too.
Well,
So-
so a lot of it back then was so your company would do it for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Right, and they would pay to get their employees verified.
Okay.
Right, and that was part of it. The trick on this now is their definition is basically like you have to demonstrate some cultural significance,
Yeah, see, that's
which
kind
is
of.
completely
Oh, that's how it is right now.
nebulous. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I've heard that complaint before. So I mean, I think just paying for it would be much more simple. So
100%.
Yeah.
Well, and again, it was they would break down the things and say like these are the things we deem culturally significant. So people would say, people would come out there and say like I applied for this, okay, and here are the criteria that you're asking for. And they say these are my things, these are my credentials. This is my Wikipedia page.
right. Yeah, which isn't even curated by yourself, man.
No, and don't get me wrong. This is Wikipedia is not what it used to be.
Parts of it have gotten a little weird.
And
So
that place can go fuck itself.
I'm not saying the whole thing's fucked up, man. So Wikipedia is damn handy in a lot of.
Not going to fight you on this.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's damn handy on a lot of things. It's just Wikipedia, like in their monetary drives and things like that, have gotten a little bit, to the point in time. It's like, wait a minute, this is not the same thing that you guys established back in Hawaii,
Nope.
a long time ago. It's just gotten a lot bigger, But like, as far as gatekeeping the knowledge, man, I don't know. I've always treated Wikipedia very carefully, so. And particularly, like, I encourage my students to use it, but I was like, use it as a basket of sources that you can go track things down,
Absolutely.
and it works great that way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. As a matter of fact, just in terms of not sure where to start, want to gather up some
excellent
facts?
place to start.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll defend that to the day I die. However, these guys have gotten such a big head on their shoulders where they're like, actually, we are the gatekeepers of knowledge. And so that,
Yeah, we are Delphi.
yes. With that comes responsibility. With that
Right, yeah.
comes... We are the chariots of the gods themselves. And so, so there's this part of it that says, go fuck yourself. This was a peer-edited place. The fights in the comments were the best part about this place.
So
So,
Wikipedia.
oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't remember the fights in the comments.
Oh, my God. If you ever watch Man, some of my favorite things were, like, take some of the really stupid shit that you can think of, right? And when you would have the peer editors going back and forth about,
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
and some of the fights in there over the most inconsequential shit were just utterly amazing.
Yeah. But that's just like academia. So, and oftentimes they know that a lot of those
Yeah.
guys were academics. So
There
doing that
were.
shit.
There were.
Yeah, because I remember there were a couple like. Oh, I can't remember exactly. It might have been the Hitler page, but it might have been just like Nazism in general. Were like 2 or 3 of the guys who were actually like curating the page were very famous, well-published historians, and they fought with each other in the comments. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it was one of those things. So I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there were other hotly contested ones
Yeah,
like
yeah.
circumcision.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're literally covering every topic on the face of the planet,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so can we even find experts to do this? Would they even be willing to do it? Especially since it's volunteer only. And so then you get like, basement dweller 123, so who decides to get, make a contribution on that site and just starts filling out, what do they call them, stubs? So, I mean,
Yeah.
and then they get peer edited, and then all of a sudden this guy's a fucking, an expert. So, and it's like, well, what qualifications does he have to actually talk about? And the answer is 0, because he wikid them. So,
Man, this is the kind of snake that eats its own tail.
yeah,
I
man,
know.
I've seen that happen on a lot of different Wikipedia articles, man. There's a lot of things that I use Wikipedia for, but then you start diving into the sources, like, wait a minute, you're citing this source 5 times here, man.
Oh, yeah.
So let me go read it. And then you go read it because, like, shit is so easy to find now. So everything's been digitized. So it's so fucking easy to find just about anything that you're looking for or archived out there. It's not hard. And it's like, that's not what this shit says at all. Someone here's being really lazy with their research,
Oh yeah, yeah. And then you would have the fights there of like some dude would come in there and say like, I've made this edit based off of information off of the Anti-Defamation League. Like, well, that's
Yeah.
they're a group that's like, what are you saying this isn't a valid?
The Southern Poverty Law Center is my favorite one.
So
Yeah.
fucking
So
modern version of the current version of the ACLU. I mean, like, you guys are a joke.
I think they're actually going to turn around though, man. So
Well,
I think that
finally said something that actually,
Did you see that?
yeah, that finally that sounded like the ACLU of old. Because you know what, fuck it. Because there was a part where like, I'd made my donations before in the past because these are the guys that like, look, you have to say like, these guys have the right to say Nazi shit. We don't agree with any of it, but you have to allow them to say it.
Yeah. These guys can show up to that soldier's funeral.
Yes, they can.
Yeah. It's a public event.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And for a while there, they took up that particularly dangerous pass of saying, no, we have to protect people from dangerous speech. And of course, you're not the arbiters of that.
Correct.
You
Yeah.
can't be.
No. Yeah, I don't know. So there was something I was actually reading the other day that was actually talking about like how a lot of these institutions that we used to see like that, like the ACLU, kind of took this bender, over
Yes.
the last like 10 years
Yes.
or so. And this was particularly critical of college graduates.
Yes.
Yeah. And there was somebody who was running a campaign. I can't remember whose campaign it was. Somebody in 2016. It wasn't Bernie. It was one of the other Democrats. I can't remember. And she was talking specifically about how, like, there's a generation of students that came out of Ivy League schools and some of the better state schools during Obama's presidency
Yes.
that were particularly idealistic and then, and very well educated, very
Yes.
well qualified to actually do things. A lot of them went to law school, a lot of them became political operatives and things like that. And she was talking about how, I can't remember who the candidate was that she was talking about. Who was running in 2016?
Against Trump?
Hillary Clinton. No, I understand that, but like, no, for the Democratic nomination.
Oh.
I can't remember who.
Well, okay.
Well, it was Bernie and Hillary were the big ones,
Yeah.
but I don't think Pete Buttigieg was around back then.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, has he been around that long?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was pretty young.
You may be thinking of Amy Klobuchar.
No, it wasn't a woman. It was a man. It
Oh.
might have been Buttigieg, but I don't think so. Anyway, it's irrelevant. All right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so this guy was a second or third stringer in the fucking election campaign, or in the primary runoff, and they're doing all this shit in Iowa and New Hampshire, like they always do.
Yeah.
And like, her staff is getting into all these fucking stupid ass arguments about what it is that we actually call this. All right. And so this is the whole Latinx thing and stuff like that.
Oh,
okay. It's just like nobody out there talks like this. Okay. But they all assume that that's the way because they all come from these like, you know, very, very secular and secluded places. Okay. So that, you know, where this is what you do, man. You refer to them as Latinx and stuff like that. And so it was the candidate himself who said, no, we're going to fucking call them Hispanics because that's what they call themselves. So, and she was like dealing with this like fucking mutiny. And this is in 2016. The guy goes on to lose, all right, the thing and get knocked out. And all those dudes go over to the Bernie campaign and start fucking his shit up. And so after that. And so, and then she was out by that point in time, but she was like, I could just see this was like, you know, you have a snowball that you like let go on top of a mountain. You know, eventually it's going to stop. But the question is like, how many houses does it wreck before it gets there?
Yeah. You know what? And when you're saying that, I feel like this may have been something. I know you're saying it was a guy, but I think this also haunted Elizabeth Warren's campaign too.
Oh yeah, she had to fight back on that a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as well as she probably should have.
She walked herself right out the door.
She did, yeah, with like, oh yeah, I'm part Cherokee.
And this is
like,
somebody that I don't hate, but yeah,
No,
this is the. No, you're right, because this is where, you know, I've joked about this before. It's about like, you can't stay at the party if you're going to chase the girls out, and this is the. No, man.
Yeah, you're totally right.
Yeah, and this is
You gotta go.
exactly. It's like you can stay, right, but stop chasing the girls out, and that's the problem is that's the bad left. That's the infiltration part here that sickens me. Where like again, the part of the left that I hate are you can tell the group that talks about minorities or different groups like they've discovered a new subset of Scorpion, right? Where it's
Look how fucking smart I am. You know?
no, it's like yeah, it's like, well, we're going to talk about the marginalized, you know, North American blah 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 blah. It's like that's a person, and if you ask me, say, yeah, I'm Mexican.
Right, yeah, exactly. No, I'm Chicano, man. Oh, that's, you can't say that.
Yeah, and that's the part of it where if you get into that ground, if you could see people doing that, right? This is still the same fucking like pronouns in bio group there.
I've actually seen that go down a little bit lately.
Well, it's because there's a lot of at this point, like we joked about with our old emails. Didn't read, lol.
Right, yeah.
It's the same thing where if somebody comes at you like, well, there can be no justice on stolen land, you say Twitter pronouns in bio. I don't have to listen to you.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So there's this piece of this where that shit is falling apart. They are finally starting to ask these people like, bro, you are ruining this party.
When you chase yeah, so it's not just the girls away, but, you know, like, this is why next week's going to be really interesting. I want to see exactly where the black and Hispanic vote is on some of this stuff.
Bro, man, I mentioned
There's going to be a lot of crocodile
my
tears next
God.
week, yeah.
I mentioned that to one of my students, and she perked up like it was Christmas and her birthday and Hanukkah all wrapped into one. Because are you familiar with the concept of COVID amnesty? Have you heard about this?
I've heard this thing, but I have not looked into it. But it had something to do with, like, you know, like, oh, well, Fauci was trying to do the best that he could, and so...
Right.
Okay, so that was fairly accurate.
This was a piece written off the Atlantic that circulated around.
Fuck that.
Well, and so it was based off the idea of we need to forgive one another for what we did during the pandemic with limited information.
We're happy to forgive you after we take your job.
But that was kind of it.
Yeah.
So there's this kind of like, hey, we all made mistakes and everything, and you got a bunch of people over there saying like, yeah, like I understand your mistakes. Your mistakes. They put a tattoo on the inside of my fucking arm here.
Oh,
right?
Come on. Yeah, let's
Now,
get into the hyperbole.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But at the same time, you can sit there and round up all the shit where, I want everybody vaccinated, not vaccinated, fired. I want them not to be on planes. I want them not. I want them.
There's a lot of comeuppance going on around that.
And yeah, there is a lot of comeuppance. And when you go out there and say we need to forgive each other for this, like, forgive you for what?
Forgive you for what?
What did you forgive me for?
Yeah. So, well, and
I took the fucking shot.
yeah, sure.
So did you.
Yeah, no, I have no problem with that shot. So I really don't. Quite honestly, I think that if it had some like really severe adverse medical effect, we would be seeing way more of that now. So
We kind of are.
what do you mean? I mean, people dying,
Yes.
like a lot. Like, put a percentage on it for me.
Oh man, I
Come
can't.
on, man.
Okay, I can't give you.
That's the stuff that I need.
I can't give you the raw
Yeah.
number. I don't have that.
So
right in
if
front,
like
but
100 people took the shot, is one of them dying from it, or two, or
Well,
less than one?
the question is, Patrick, it's who's dying from it.
Okay, who's that?
The problem here is this is happening in people who are otherwise perfectly healthy.
Right. Yeah. So is that the myocarditis thing and stuff? So out of 100 people, how many is that? Yeah, I don't know either. So that'd be good to know.
But the problem, look, man, the reason I'm saying that here is to flip it around and say, what are the percentages in terms of shit like, you remember when you'd watch daytime TV and they'd say, have you had a hip replaced or did you get transvaginal mesh, right? Or something like that. So I know that the number of people getting like crushed out,
Oh, yeah.
that kind of stuff was pretty low too.
Yeah. So and those individuals do have legal remedy for them. And
But
so
the people with, if you had a son that was 18, croaked on the football field, you have no recourse because they're invincible.
yeah, I don't know if that'll stick. So
Oh man, that was
Yeah.
the condition of their sale was we have to have immunity for this for 99 years.
yeah. So I still don't know if that's going to stick either, man. So
I don't know.
well, I mean, do you actually have the authority? I mean, so that's the whole thing. It's just because they say, okay, so you don't get the shot unless you do this, doesn't necessarily mean they have the legal standing nor the right to be able to actually give that guarantee. And so that's actually going to happen. It's going to come through the courts. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so to turn that around and then say, oh, well, we didn't force you to do that. It's like, you sure?
yeah, and I think you can make a really good legal case for that. So at that point in time, and so no, I don't think that any kind of like COVID amnesty is gonna. None of it's gonna have any legs if there actually are really serious and demonstrable impacts and effects over the next 10 years from this. So
Were you on the verge of calling the Atlantic a rag?
it is a fucking rag. So, it is a rag. I used to love that mag. I used to subscribe to that magazine, man. So, and I don't know what happened to it. Yeah, it went all in on fucking Russiagate, and then ever since then, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. So, but to be fair, there's some others that have gotten a little bit better. So, like I've found other things to read and stuff.
Well, I gotta tell you, this is the
That
thing.
thing, yeah. I see Atlantic articles, and I get 3 free a month because it keeps trying to get me to come back. So, and then it puts up a paywall. It says, Pat, you should pay for us if you want to keep reading our great articles. So it's like, no, I've gotten 3 out of you this month, and they all suck too. So,
Well, I can tell you, there's a number of sites, and now that I look at it in hindsight, sites that I used to read where, yes, they had a slant, but it was an interesting slant. And the places I remember that fell off the worst would be Vox,
I never really liked Fox, though.
the Huffington Post, which I used to go to on a regular
Oh,
basis.
I haven't liked that one for a decade.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Those guys really
They leaned in hard.
hot 2016 items in the
yeah.
worst. And believe it or not, I used to actually like going to BuzzFeed.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because every now and then they interspersed with like, we're going to make our staff eat something weird. They would also have
That's true. They did do that. So,
in between that, they actually had things where they would do what I liked was they used to do a little bit of like serious investigative journalism from time to time where they'd actually go in and
Yeah.
group. I was like, Wow,
They broke some huge stories.
they did.
Yeah.
And in 2016 happened.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where I lost touch with these guys, because if you haven't turned around to say, wow, we've really like walked off the edge. Say,
Yeah.
like our only solution now is to what? Triple down, sir? Yeah, I guess so. Like, could you
Yeah.
walk it back? No.
Yeah. I heard that argument about CNN the other day. So as well, CNN's numbers just suck.
Yep.
You know what? They don't fucking care.
No.
No.
They don't. And this is after they actually, this is their walking back phase.
This is-
their
I didn't
return
know
to
that.
center.
Yeah, I didn't know this about the revenue model. Where do they make all their money?
Oh, that's a good question.
Cable packages. They could give a fuck less. They can give a fuck less if
got
5 people
it.
watch it. They still
Got
get paid.
it.
Yeah. That was kind of disheartening to hear. The reason why the Weather Channel won't die. So,
You know what? Isn't it the Weather Channel? Their audience is small but very loyal.
their site is the most garbage site on the internet. So, yeah. My mom is one of those dedicated Weather Channel watchers, okay? And so she insists on having their app on her site. It is fucking horrifyingly bad.
Do you know why?
Because it's full of ads.
Well, no, I'm not talking about that. You know why she's into it? Because sometime in like September
yeah.
of '91, they did her right.
Yeah, exactly. He got it right just once.
And no, there was some time when she needed to know the weather, and with that generation, if somebody does right by you, you don't take your business elsewhere.
You're right. Yeah, you're a loyal consumer. Yeah. No, that's totally her. So, but that website is truly horrifying, and and like they get all their money off the cable package too, man. So it's just like fuck. Some things just won't get better. So.
Oh my god. Yeah, okay. That's it's very weird, and you're absolutely right. But then again, you're wondering, like, you see some people that are just weirdly loyal about weird things. It's like,
Yeah.
what is this? It's like, it's an Acer, and I'm never gonna buy another type of computer in my life.
I knew a guy who was a Hyundai guy. Same thing. He's like, Hyundai's the best car you can ever get. So, and I had never heard anybody ever say that in my entire life. So he's a diehard Hyundai guy.
Dude, I'm not even talking about like food things, because I understand like there's a part of it like these are the pretzel rods.
The road.
Yeah, and there are no other kinds of pretzels. Like, they sell other pretzels, but these are the pretzel rods.
Rods.
And don't get those knockoff. Don't you're thinking about buying those Safeway rods? You can shove those up your ass. The rolled gold pretzel rods are the only things that matter. It's like, dude, what did these liberate you from a Vietnamese camp?
Yeah, exactly. So, you live on these while you're in the resistance, you know? So,
Yeah, Acer computers, or this weird dude's like, yeah, this is a Dell.
right.
These are the computers we have here.
There's dead brands out there that I've heard people say, I wish I could have my BlackBerry back, you know, or
Yes.
something like that.
Or
you know.
gateways,
My gateway,
or
yeah.
Packard Bells, or
Oh my god, I had 3 Packard Bells. And TVs, and they were manufactured right over there, yeah. So,
go crazy. Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm gonna give this some thought. I will, before next time around, I will think about the weird things that I am oddly loyal to that I have no right to be,
okay.
and I'd like you to do the same.
Oddly loyal to, okay.
Strangely loyal. Even as in the past, like you said, I had 3 Packard Bells.
Mm-hmm.
You don't take your business elsewhere when they did you right. Yeah.
I've got a couple, man, I can think of right now. So, yeah.
I think at this point I'm willing to throw my hat in with like Toyota, but I think that's earned at this point.
I'm
for
not
me.
as loyal as Toyota as you are, but I think I will be in the long run. So my next car will definitely be a Toyota. So,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Anything else you want to say?
No, just Tuesdays are election day. So
Oh yeah.
shit in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
If you care.
Yes.
So if not,
Participate in democracy, guys.
participate in democracy.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Nope. Wrap it up, dude.
All right. I'm Pat.
I'm Jeffrey.
Hitting the button.